Um, oh God, that dude sucks. He sucks so bad, man. Gosh, I tell you, his Wikipedia looking like a bunch of Swiss cheese, all these zeros in some of these key categories. That's all I'm saying.
I really still think instead of like a stage break, it would spice it up. Like essentially when he brings out the caution, that's your stage break. Like allow him to dictate the race because it happens every race.
My conspiracy theory is that was why he's still in the car. Like NASCAR is just like, we need this. We'll pay whatever. Like we need the commercials.
They need an organic caution, and he is the most organic of cautions.
So let's just get rid of the stage breaks and just have him lead us into commercial.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, Corey, whenever you're ready to torpedo this thing, go ahead.
Hey, Corey, we think there's a gap. Take it 3 wide. Okay.
I went 7 wide down into 1, and if you're not down on the bottom, somebody else is going to get to you there and put you middle.
My favorite part is
I didn't do anything. I messed up.
Dude, my favorite part is that my favorite part of that is he goes, well, he hooked himself. Brother, I have eyes.
And then he contradicted himself in the same interview answer. So yeah, then I spun his ass. I was like, oh, you're going to the hauler.
The funny thing is, somewhere out there, Clint Boyer sitting on his couch, just thinking, "Oh, Bubba kind of put everybody in a bad spot." He's just trying to think, how did Bubba put him in a bad?
Bubba was the reason, He said that after seeing the parking issues, everyone was trying to get into the track, and it was just like a mess. He was like, man, if Bubba hadn't parked the car out there blocking the street, people could get in. He's got to be more responsible. He's got to think,
You're listening to Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane 5. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are the hostesses with the mostesses. It's Jared and it's Art. And Peyton, congratulations. You just became another co-host of Victory Lane Vibes. You got a job.
Happy to be
call
here.
Up. You got from
the
call
up
AA.
from the AA team. You are here in the majors.
I was just sitting in the bullpen, just baking pies, and I walk the phone, I get it, and I get to trot out onto the field. So
look, this is your Worldwide Technical Speedway from last year. Like, this is your chance to shine. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a Corey that you can leapfrog.
You have to relax.
Thankfully, we don't have. I'm saying we don't.
Wait, am I Corey in this situation, or am I Hocevar in this situation?
Hocevar.
You're definitely
okay. I'll take.
I would never. I don't
want to be Corey in the 9.
No, I'm saying though. No, I'm saying this is your call up. But I'm saying because I know someone's going to be upset if I don't add this asterisk that we don't have a Corey that he's leapfrogging. He's just getting the try up. Yeah, no, there's no Corey here.
Well, happy to be here.
Our roster's fantastic. We don't need any Corys. I'm sorry. Anyway, enough about him and his lies. Yeah, we the whole, like we said last week, everybody's gonna be in Pocono. Everybody was in Pocono. There was some rain and some mist and some drizzle. But first, because we talked about it, I gotta bring it up. Rodney Childress going to Spur for the 7. I was jealous when that news came out, but after today's pit strategy with Josh Berry, I was like, oh no, maybe we lucked out on missing this train, because I feel like he didn't cook in a cook move. He messed up his own strategy.
I mean, you can only cook with the ingredients you've been given. And yes, like Josh Berry is a good driver.
Pretty good ingredients.
But also you have to keep in mind that they had like a 10-second stop when they needed to have like a 3-second stop because something happened on the right front and that just killed it. You know, they were trying to undercut
he
or
slid
something.
to the box and they had to back up.
Well, then maybe they had 2 bad stops. I remember something happened on the right front of his car. So like, I can't blame the crew chief for him sliding through the box, can I? I can't account for that.
I blame the crew chief every week on this show. I'm definitely blaming him. I'm blaming the coach. Anyway, I figured I'd get that out the way before we start the rest of the main course. It was Heim time Friday night. To nobody's surprise, the rain tried to give us the finish that we didn't deserve. But Mother Nature was like, nah, I guess I'll let y'all run y'all last 6 laps. So Heim time proves that nobody can hold a candle to him in the truck series. Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, Steve, go ahead and cut the check for this boy and get him into 67 for next year because Corey whooped him again. He drove out of Christian Eckes' life like several times during that race. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. But Corey Heim wins the truck series race Friday. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is his 5th win. His 5th win of the year. He's leading the playoff standings, but oddly enough, Christian Eckes is still in front of him in the regular season. It's weird. By 32 points, even. Like, that's a pretty big gap to points are strange. We should go back to cup rules. Because that doesn't make any sense at all. He has more top 5s. He has 2 more wins. He has more stage wins, but he's behind Christian Eckes in the regular season championship by 32 points. I hate you, NASCAR. All right. Go ahead, Peyton. What do you think about the truck race?
I mean, Corey Heim is just lights out. I'm just looking over his stats, and this year the wins overall in the truck series, I think, 4 wins, 4 winners so far this year? Am I correct? Who am I missing? I know Heim's won 5 of them. Raj has won 1. Sanchez has won 2. Who am I missing? Who's won?
Christian has won 3.
Christian Eckes. And yeah, I don't see a whole lot of reason, unless just so to buy more time for Toyota seats for Corey Heim to stick around or potentially even go to Xfinity. I don't know if there's tons of value. I mean, whether he could go the Carson Hocevar route and just go ahead and make the leap to Cup, but he is looking supreme. I think he probably needs to run a season in Xfinity if he needs to buy more time. But like I said, if you get that charter at 23:11, yeah, put him in. He looks as good as any prospect we've had in a while. And yeah, truthfully, there's a lot of prospects out there. It looks like, could be making that jump up. But yeah, not a lot to say. It was not a super entertaining race. He was just masterful throughout it. They had the long rain. Well, I'd say was that about a 25-minute rain delay towards the end. Raj was one of the few cautions, essentially just put in too low going into 1, I believe, and self-spun, washed up into his teammate, and then was still able to, cut through the field in the last few laps and get a top 10, which it's the funniest thing about a top 10. It is the most you could have the most lackluster day, and I could just be sitting there just sweating, feeling miserable. I'm just thinking like, I gotta go into work on on Monday feeling like trash because all my drivers had a lousy weekend. They ran poor. Like, nope, all it takes is a top 10. So yeah, great truck race. Raj top 10. That's all it takes. But yeah, otherwise unremarkable race overall. But yeah.
Anything you want to add about the weekend? Oh, sorry, the truck race, Art?
Yeah, Mother Nature was cruel to me. The timing was cruel. So I got home just in time to see them come on the pit road for the last red flag. And I said, there's only 9 laps to go, whatever. There's no way they're going to get the back start. So I turned it off. Then I come back. And the race is over. I said, what happened? Anyway, so I missed it. But I'm happy for Corey. I mean, dude looks like a beast. And I think he's going to be great in that 23:11 third seat whenever it opens up, assuming that's where he lands. I'm happy he got another win. I just don't see a way in a playoff system that rewards winning above all else. This guy seems to be able to get wins when it matters most, or at least more consistently than his peers in this series. So at this point, I don't have any reason to believe that he wouldn't win the championship. Obviously, with it being a one race thing, it could be kind of crazy, but he feels like the surest thing in all three of the top series to put as a lock to the Final Four. At least for me, like the Xfinity field isn't especially deep. It's kind of wide but very shallow. So I fully expect him to make it there. So yeah, I'm happy for him. But like I said, I didn't see any of it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I did. I got played.
Yeah, you did get played. Mother Nature was like, nah, we'll let y'all finish it.
All right.
Literally. Another strange occurrence with NASCAR choosing to run that race at 5:30. Do you need the ratings that bad to risk another rain delay? To risk another race not getting run to its scheduled distance? What are we doing for the second week in a row? I just find that odd. Come on, Amazon, please save us. Come on, Amazon.
I still miss it. I try to remember which year it was. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago where, due to a rain delay, they ran that truck race at 10 a.m. either on Saturday or Sunday. It was fantastic. It was just very nice just being able to wake up, have a cup of coffee, and there was NASCAR on the TV. It's one of the reasons why I like F1. You sort of get, the excitement out of the way early and get your day started. So, heck, if you want to make it the Breakfast Cup Series or whatever, hey, just wedge it in. But yeah, that Pocono race for the Truck Series has been difficult. And yeah, a 5 p.m. start. At least it's what I think they did the 8:20 p.m. time as well. So they seem really attached to 8:20 p.m. I don't know if they've got dinner reservations at the Golden Corral at 8:55, so they got to set that hard cap at 8:20. But yeah, I thought it was risky doing a 5:30 start. And they're also I guess it just doesn't do well for the campers and RVers to do a Saturday doubleheader, because I'm surprised there are so few truck Xfinity doubleheaders, because I know Atlanta does it, and it's one of the things that makes it nice to go to that race. Are there any others that leap out that are truck Xfinity doubleheaders by design?
Atlanta's the only one that jumps out at me.
Yeah. I know there's probably one or two others, but
I was going to say, I feel like it's happened somewhere else. Maybe Texas?
Was it Texas?
Might be Texas.
I know it happened somewhere else, because I've thought the same thing. Like, I enjoy a full day of racing, but that might be the only other one that I can think of.
I mean, I'm saying that these tracks got lights. You know what I'm saying? Martinsville, you can do it. I mean, I know I like the Friday night truck race at Martinsville, but Martinsville could do a double header. They need to bring back the weekend where all 3 races are at night. I need a night cup race, a nighttime cup race at Martinsville, like we got during COVID. It was fantastic. Good playing with my emotions, scheduling people.
They're not gonna give it to you.
No, they're not. I'm holding my my thoughts and prayers for something that's literally never going to happen. Moving on, the Xfinity race was Saturday. Sheldon Creed got the pole. Sheldon Creed finished 4th. Sam Mayer used his ARCA brakes and wrecked SVG. SVG was on a tear, was going to get a top 10. He got wrecked. And then SVG's words, not mine. He said some wobble hit him for 83rd, and he just wrecked again. So he finished the race 31st. Super disappointing, because he was cooking. He figured out what he needed at Pocono, and he told y'all when he won the race before Chicago, he's like, "Hey, I think I know what the car needs to make me faster." So y'all in trouble on these circle tracks, man. I'm telling you, SVG got his thing figured out. He's my championship favorite. But anyway. Cole Custer solidifies that Daddy put me in the Cup car next year. He wins at Pocono. Algar finished 2nd, William Byron 3rd, and the aforementioned Sheldon Creed does not finish 2nd this week and finishes 4th. What are your thoughts on the Xfinity race?
Did you go and say that SVG is your championship favorite for the Xfinity series?
Yes.
Can you let's have a dialogue on this. Walk me through, brother. Walk me through.
So I'll walk you through why I say he's gonna win. I have him winning Watkins Glen. That's before the chase starts.
All right, Watkins Glen.
He's gonna win the Roval.
Mm-hmm.
That's the round of 8. That's the round of 12 to get him to the round of 8, and then he can just point his way the rest of the way. You don't have to win the race to win the championship. You just got to bulldoze whoever his other 3 competitors are at Martinsville and Phoenix, and he wins. Austin Hill, look out! You can have a target on your back the last 2 weeks.
Good.
But yeah, he can win Watkins Glen. He can win the Roval, and then he'll have enough points because he's already won 3 times this year already. He's fine. He'll be there.
You make a good point there because he should come in fairly well seeded into the playoffs, and like you're saying, starts at Kansas, Talladega, and then Roval. Yeah, the Roval should be, you can pencil him for a dub there. And then you said what, round of 8? I mean, that's 3 ovals. I think it's gonna be tough. I'd say it's. And he's not. Has he seen any of these tracks? Okay, yeah, they've already run Martinsville. They've already run Vegas already. So maybe he makes a big leap. He got
hit at Talladega. He was running well and got hit at Talladega.
Yeah, but I never. It's like when people mention that Bubba, is a phenomenal super speedway racer. Yes, but I still think that's of limited utility, just given how often you can get taken out on in unforeseen circumstances. I think it would be interesting. The track that you gotta look at in terms of making that playoff run is that round that has Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville. I think Pocono does suit his talents well, and it was interesting. I heard an interview with Connor Zilich, and he was sort of talking about the thing that feels weird on these stock cars is the feeling of you're sliding the whole time in the corners, essentially, where you're driving that car and it's just sliding constantly, and that's the way you've got to drive it. And that takes apparently adjusting for these road course racers. And 2 of those 3 tracks in that round, Vegas and Miami, are ones that you have to sort of essentially drive it like that. Pocono that we saw on Saturday doesn't seem like quite as much. Everyone says it drives like a road course. So I think Martinsville, like I said, if you can just survive, because like you are saying too, Art, you were saying the talent pool in Xfinity, it's wide, but it's shallow. So yeah, just manage to scrape through the top 10 somehow at those 2. I don't think it's impossible. I don't know if he's the favorite, but that said, I don't know who else is really phenomenal in the Xfinity series. None of the junior motorsports has been stupendous. I mean, Austin, could you imagine doing an Austin Hill championship?
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't think Allgaier would be?
I mean,
because he's choked a couple away this year. That's the only reason why I don't have him as a favorite. Like he's the playoff points leader currently. Cole Custer's reading the regular season championship. I mean, if I had to pick somebody outside SVG, I think Cole can go back to back. I don't think Justin will be able to hang on, and I think Austin's going to wreck himself out of it. And Chandler, after Chandler went on that stretch earlier in the year, he's been very, very quiet since.
I look at this, and yeah, they're really. I mean, you look at the people who've won. It's been a lot of Cup Series drivers, and then it's just been sort of sprinkled in. I mean, there's no one who's sort of taken this season and said, "This is mine," and we're going to run. We're just going to run the table. I mean, Hunter Nemechek, Chandler Smith, Kyle Larson, Chandler Smith, Almirola, Mayer, Love, Truex, Allgaier, Elliott, Shane, Sam Mayer, Christopher Bell, Nemechek, and Shane. Those are your winners. Truthfully, the only guy who's a series regular who's actually won multiple frequency is Shane. I mean, yeah. I mean, if he gets to the level of competency on ovals, it could be it could be interesting. I do agree. Allgaier is probably he's a steady fan, but I just don't trust him to just put it all together. He seems like a very likable guy. I'd love if he could, but Yeah, this is a very wide open championship. Overall, Saturday's race, I thought it was probably the most entertaining. It was just a lot going on, had a lot of cautions. Overall, those cars just race extremely well. They didn't seem to suffer as much with dirty air. I mean, they suffered with dirty air, but they could still sort of find an alternate line, set themselves up very well to do a pass down the main straight. So, yeah, probably the best race of the weekend. I am a Cole Custer fan, and I became a fan of his for the dumbest reason, which is they built an Andy's, that ice cream shop here in Knoxville, and he's got his own signature shake. It is fantastic. I'm like, you know what? That's my guy. If my guy says, hey, we're putting peanut butter and Heath bar and chocolate in the shake, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's he's got good taste. He's got vision in his ice cream, and that's I'm a man of simple taste. So
I thought it was frozen custard. I thought it wasn't ice cream.
Thank you for the clarification. It is yes, you're right. It is Andy's frozen custard.
How big of a fan are you? You don't even know what they sell.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Don't let
shame.
them do that.
Don't
let them do that.
It's milk. It's sugar. It does the same trick. Art.
Are they called Andy's ice cream, or are they called Andy's frozen custard?
You are a terrible person.
Fair point.
I just want to know what they're called.
No, fair point. When Victory Lane Vibes gets that call from Andy's, they'll appreciate that. Hey, you know how to sell the product the right way. It is
when they get the call saying,
difference.
"Why don't you know?" When they get the call saying, "Why don't you know who we are?" And we're gonna send it right to you. Drop the Addy.
No. You bailed out the show. No, it is custard. I know I'm told there is a difference. All I know, it's very, very good. And
did I tell you how he landed that sponsorship?
How do you do it?
So last season, I kept calling him Cold Custard because he couldn't get right.
Stop.
And then he won. And then next thing I know, he lands a custard sponsorship. It's crazy.
Stop.
Look, I did that.
Stop.
I did that. It's on public record. I don't delete my tweets. It's out there.
Stop.
Episodes live,
anyway, I like the idea of SVG being in the championship 4, obviously. I don't know if I'm ready yet to say that he's my favorite. I still think that some of the more, what's the best word? Not traditional, but like the names that you've come to know and expect. I still think Cole would be a favorite. I think Allgaier would be a favorite. And I think those two stand out to me most. I agree with you on Chandler Smith and Austin Hill. Like, I don't see them making it. I mean, he doesn't have a win, but like AJ is 5th in points in Xfinity. That's not that far behind. Like, in theory, he could get hot. Now, credit all the strengths for AJ are bigger strengths for Shane. So that he kind of steals his magic on those places. But I mean, he could get it done. Like, we've seen him pull some magic off in that 16. Yeah, I just hate that he didn't get the finish that he deserved today, or yesterday, I should say, because I remember seeing him be in the mid-20s, I think, for a lot of the first half of the race. And I was like, oh, man, he's kind of struggling, at this track. He doesn't have a ton of experience at. But then, to your point, was in 10th place when he got run into and run over. I'm not going to say dumped, but I'm going to say got run over. So, yeah, that's disappointing. But, like, he's still getting better. And I mean, I really look at this season as just like a learning experience. This is kind of like, in college, I lived in the international dorm, and so a lot of the students would come in and they would take the classes as pass fail. So like, it really didn't matter. Like they'd go to class, but like, it doesn't really matter. They're really just there for the experience and the growth. And as I'm saying this out loud, I realize that I'm now referring to an international driver in this analogy, which I didn't know when I started talking about it, but that's besides the point. I feel like this season is like that for him, where it's like, we just want you to learn the experience. We don't really care that much. Like, you're winning, which is great. We're happy, but like, I don't think they went into the season thinking, all right, Shane, we're going to try and make a run for the championship. It's more like, all right, Shane, we need to get you used to driving stock cars and running a full schedule and learning these tracks, because almost all of these tracks you'll face in the cup car that we're going to have for you at some point in the future. So I don't know. I feel like maybe that's also why he seems to be very easygoing. He's like the most easygoing driver I think I've ever seen. Where like he gets wrecked, he's like, well, that sucked, but whatever. It was fun. And I'm just like, okay, well, he's not that upset. Thankfully, like he's competitive, but he's not raging like the man baby in the 21 is. So maybe I'd love it. I'd be happy. I'd buy a lot of merch. I would get my money again if he made it, but it's hard to see him coming in doing it.
I've just got this image now of like SVG being like the foreign exchange student, and like every week they just match him with someone in the infield where he's to stay and learn the customs of that track. And they explain to him like, now SVG, this is a Martinsville hot dog. This is very important to our culture. And he just has to explore around. That's what just popped in my mind when you just made the analogy about him staying and taking these courses pass fail. Is he still on the most likely trajectory to be in Cup next year?
Yeah, that water's probably gotten even murkier due to SHR shenanigans and the Trackhouse colleague handshake agreement deal that they have. I'd say more importantly than that, Michael McDowell signing that huge contract to go to Spire threw a wrench into all of everything personally. It's yet to be seen if Colleague stays in Cup next year. They're probably seeing what's the word going to be on the charter situation, because obviously Stuart Haas has 3 charters that they're giving up and they don't know how much they're worth. Matt Colleague might be looking at the books and like, I need to go back to dominating Xfinity, having 4 of them cars instead of 2 and get out of the Cup arena. So TBD. Personally, that's my thoughts. I think that they sell out or lease to Trackhouse and bow out.
I mean, to me, that would make the most sense. They don't seem to be having that much fun, in terms of the Cup side. They seem that they're kind of miserable. At least anytime I see them on track or, they shut a pit box. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going up to, you can say like you went up to Cup Series where competitive, got wins, you weren't a back marker team for forever. You've got those trophies that you earned, and now you're gonna go back and do the Xfinity thing. Nothing wrong with that. It's plenty respectable. But I could see that. Yeah, I'd love for him to be there next year, but I just don't see it right now either. And like, it is, as we record, July 14th, and there's no charter updates, and the deadline was like June 1st, I think, or something. And we were told that was like the final deadline. So I'm sure that's gonna change, but I just don't see it.
It'll be interesting to see if they can just delay the whole charter talks. Just, hey, whatever is just frozen now. We'll resume negotiations for next year. Essentially, just repeat the equivalent of like a franchise tag in terms of what you do for a football player. We just can't figure out. So I'm just saying, hey, we're just going to have to start the negotiations again next year. Old rules still
I don't
apply.
think the teams, I know we're getting deep in the weeds. I just don't feel like the teams would go for that. I think they'd be like, well, we're not showing up to Daytona if you don't have a deal in place and signed. So like, good luck getting, the Jimmy and Joes of the greater Florida area to run the Daytona 500. If I turn on my TV and there's no Chase Elliott, a lot of people are turning it off real quick. I think I might have to watch just out of morbid curiosity to see how great or awful it would be. But I imagine a lot of people who are like casual fans or like it's their first time watching, they're like, oh, where's that Ryan Blaney guy I saw on TV a bunch? Oh, he's not racing? All right, screw this, I'm out. So
it would kill the sport.
Yes.
It would kill the sport. I mean, you look anyway. I've led us way so far astray, so
it's totally fine. I was gonna ask, did we shake all the Xfinity out before we talk about today's race?
No, I didn't get to go. We got into the Shane stuff. I was just gonna say that this was another race. This was another race that really was Justin's to lose, and unfortunately he did. I think he once again had the best car for pretty much the entire race, I want to say, and then just got beat, on that restart with I think 4 to go. For Cole, he just beat him. There was no tricks, right? Nothing dirty. Like he just outdrove him. And sometimes you gotta tip your hat to him. And I think for a guy who's a champion, I feel like Cole kind of doesn't get the respect he deserves. Like, I don't know what it is. Something about the guy, like, I think just because the way he carries himself, like, I think people don't take him as seriously. Like, he doesn't come across as like a really intense individual. At least that's how like I perceive him. But like, he gets it done, right? Like, he's got an Xfinity championship, and he didn't fluke or backdoor his way into that either. So, I give him credit. And yeah, like I said, Sam Reckon SVG, that was the heartbreak for me. It's like, my two boys, why must you done this? And then getting called, what did you call him? What did Shane call him? A wobble?
A wobble.
A wobble. Yeah. Bro, when they hit you with insults, you don't know what they mean. Like, you got to feel about that big, about an inch tall, because that's pretty bad. So, but yeah, it definitely was, to me, the best race of the three. I agree with Peyton. So, Pocono, we're going to talk more about the track, I think, in a second. I have more thoughts on the track for the Cup side, but I think Xfinity gave us about as good as you could hope for the track, for the car. So good on them. And good on Cole, too. I'm going to start giving you some more respect, Cole. If you hear this, put some more respect on your name. Don't give me that dirty look, Jared. Why are you giving that dirty look?
I give you a dirty look. I was going to say, he's my favorite to go land the whatever number. I
said I'm going to give him some more respect. I didn't say you.
No, I'm saying like he's going to be in the car next year, in the Cup car, because Ryan Preece is going to be a tractor salesman.
Okay. I don't know nothing about that.
Dixie Chopper's still in business, Peyton?
I mean, everyone says I totally expect to see him on the Tennessee State Patrol. You put one of them hats on him, you put one of them flats on him, and you put him in one of those Brown State Trooper cars, and he looks the part. God help him. He's gonna go up to New Hampshire, wherever he's from, just run modifieds, or I still think he could go in that 15 car in Xfinity. I also love how no one else is sitting there like, oh, he's the missing piece. Like, where's he going to? No one's even. There's no scuttlebutt. There's no whispers among the media like, oh, now the final piece of the puzzle is where's. He is not a piece of the puzzle, and I just
thought of where he can go.
Yeah,
due to recent events, he can be the missing puzzle for AM Racing.
I mean, there's at
least
some
they have the SHR Alliance there. He could be the missing piece. They have a car to drive. Have a full-time gig.
All right.
Who knows? Typically, I don't print on a lot of people's downfall, but he's gonna be in a dealership.
Ryan Preece? Considering the people we're about to talk about later in this show, you got smoke for Ryan Preece?
I have smoked for a lot of people this week.
That's an interesting alignment, but you got it, bro.
And with that, we'll talk about today's shenanigans. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Sunday. We're recording after the race. After a very interesting qualifying session, I will say. Ty Gibbs and William Byron let him off to start the race. Martin Truex was like, ooh, interstate batteries, I got you. Stage 1 was nowhere to be found in stage 2. YRB wins the Pocono race today. The Mavis car, I guess that scheme will stay the same the next time he runs that, since he didn't win to change it. Alex Bowman was cheated up, finished 3rd. William Byron cheated up, finished 4th. Joe Logano cheated up, finished 5th. Interesting Cup race. I say cheated up because they all got called to go back to the R&D center, so hopefully they find something and Bubba gets a top 5. I know the math doesn't math, but I'm praying on it. It was a very interesting Cup race. I always enjoy Pocono because if it plays out the way I want it to, you get a fuel strategy race, which to me leads to the most exciting finishes in the Cup series here, because it's a lot of strategy. I know Peyton said that, you've raced this track like a road course just because it takes so long to get around it. So there was a lot of differing pit strategies in the beginning of the race. You saw some win, you saw some lose. But I enjoy when the thinking caps have to be on and you don't have, we can't say that word this week. You don't have a demonic act like the 7 driver causing 2 cautions back to back, and therefore throwing away all tire and fuel strategy out the window. But Ryan Blaney wins for the second time this year at Pocono. Who's going first?
I'll start. It's hard when a track is only known for being a fuel strategy track, and the fuel strategy gets thrown out the window. Like that's really what this place is. That and ridiculously terrible crashes going into turn one. Like those are the 2 things that you're most known for. We got one of them, but we didn't get the one that I'd rather have. I'd much rather have the fuel strategy. Yeah, I thought this race, it was fun. It's hard to like. I get to grade Pocono on a curve. I feel like, because I feel like if I look at this track wire to wire with any other track, I would hate it. But like, you're kind of holding your breath. I think I used the analogy recently of like the bomb under the table. Like that's how Pocono feels, where it's like the strategy calls are being made early on. With the stage breaks now, like that has added an extra wrinkle. This is one of the few places where like the stage breaks don't ruin the strategy, right? Because like at road course, like it's a wrap. Like everyone's gonna pit or they just jump and leapfrog. With here, the stages are long enough that at least there's still the opportunity for some more games to be played. But yeah, all the cautions late. I think there were 3 cautions late with like 20 to go or something like that, and that just kind of killed it for me. Like I feel like the race lost all of its momentum. I mean, Corey LaJoy, bro, like the segment's coming. You already know. If you've been listening to the show before, you already know. Besides him, I would say I thought this was going to be Ty's week. I really did for a long time. He started on the pole, looked great early, and then
money shifted.
What did they say? It was all the yoo-hoo, I think is what they called it, coming out the pipes. So that was gross. But yeah, this race was fine. I mean, this feels like this race checks the box for the 2024 Pocono race, and like we can all just move along smartly. Like there are certain requirements that you have to have in the season. You have to have one Pocono race. And it just sucks because I do like this track, and I agree. Like I enjoy the fuel games as well. Like I love that strategy. But when it just goes out the window because we just keep wrecking or like having in Ty's case, it was a mechanical issue. But when those cautions just keep coming out was so late, it just ruins all the suspense. I was really looking forward to it. It's like you're waiting all day for this, 20 lap run and see if anyone can stretch it. And then it's just like, oh, it's going to pace around. So it was fine. I'm okay with it. I have all my thoughts really for Lights Too Bright. Spoiler alert. It's the 7, but it's fine. I'm really happy for Bubba. I think that was the other thing too. We'll get to that in 2311 corner, but like Bubba's drive I thought was really impressive. Tyler was good. Mostly Gibbs was good. Who else was good? Kyle Busch was not good. Like God bless that poor man. Like he going through it. Like, he really.
It wasn't his fault. It wasn't.
Well, but here's the thing though. Like everyone's gonna remember the wreck, but like he was running like 32nd for like the first half of the race. Like I looked up and he was behind Cody Ware on speed. So like, yes, the ending was awful, and like it's all remembered, but there's a reason he was in that position. And like the car was a tractor. We were talking about tractors. Like, oh God, I just keep thinking more and more. I wish that man had just retired and just gone off into the sunset on a high note. And like I'm not saying these are like seasons that ruin his legacy or anything. Like I don't think that. Like he's an all-time great. He'll always be an all-time great, first ballot Hall of Famer. But I just don't like seeing these guys just struggle. And I know it's not really his fault. Like I refuse to believe that this man just suddenly forgot how to drive a car. Right. But like in racing, you have to have the equipment to at least be in contention. And like he's contending for like 20th place most weeks right now. So like that was just painful. Like I'm not even a huge Kyle Busch stan. Like I like him, but I know like Carl's been a big fan of his for a long time. And like it's, for me, I'm like, this is hard to watch, and I'm an outsider, so I can't imagine what's like if you follow this guy for 15 years and you got to watch him struggle here.
So I'm also a Kyle Busch fan, and where Kyle Busch can oftentimes be his most entertaining is when he's having bad days. we don't even get the entertainment now just because what's there to even be upset about if you're Kyle Busch? You got taken out. Yeah, it's about like this season. So you're not even getting the fun, awkward, super tense post-race interviews. So truly, how dismal this season has been a loss for the sport in terms of Kyle Busch. Overall, I am so weird when it comes to this track, Pocono. The other ones that everyone hates, I just sort of love. So there are a lot of people out there who don't really care for Dover. I don't know. For me, it just simply ties back to my young days in the 90s watching. It's just one of those ties that's just consistent. Like I wish Pocono was still 500 miles. And I still remember too, it wasn't even that long ago when it was like 500-mile races and they ran them 4 weeks apart. Like you'd have one in early July and then you'd have one in early August. It was the most absurd thing. I don't know why I just like this track. It just feels like a classic track. The restarts are insane. They flare out 7 wide. It's just a absolute mosh pit going in there. And then overall, they can kind of get strung out. And even in the 90s and 2000s that everyone loves, a lot of those races were still not necessarily the most memorable. I thought overall this race was pretty good for one that didn't require the fuel strategy that we typically saw. Didn't look like there was really a big chance that Denny was going to catch the 12 car. I think he probably needed to get up to second with 10 or 11 laps to go, which Bowman, like you were saying, Jarrett, might be just super cheated up. And so that's why I was able to retain that second place so long. So, yeah, we sort of missed out that chase down. But overall, the race itself, within the first 5 laps of a restart, it was pretty interesting. What's surprising, high attrition rate. I'm just sitting here looking. There were 24 cars running at the finish. So that is a high attrition race. Did you guys even know that Cody Ware was in this race? He finished 26th, ran 134 laps. Who knew? I didn't know. So that just shows how high the attrition was for this race. I agree, Bubba. Glad he managed to secure that top 10. I also want to dive into that on the we're talking more in depth about 23-11. But overall, just a solid race, not as good as the Xfinity race. And truthfully, look at the top 10, really not a whole lot of surprising people there, and not even necessarily a whole lot of people who you're surprised fell out for the most part. I mean, you're telling me a Ross Chastain ends up in a crash, you'd be like, yeah, that's could happen. Ty Gibbs, I don't know what the kid has to do, but it's pretty much where it will somehow feel like a surprise when he wins, even though there is no legitimate reason that you should not be expecting him to win his next race. He is qualifying well. He runs up front. He leads laps, but it just never comes together. It's the most surprising thing. I guess it's also the same thing for the 19. Runs relatively well, doesn't necessarily win a ton like the 11 car and the 20 car to a lesser extent. So that's the other thing that just still surprised me. I don't know what poor Ty Gibbs has to do. But beyond that, yeah, I think there's interesting battles shaking up or shaking out for the overall points leader. I think there's about 3 cars within, a handful of points. So that could be interesting, as Denny Hamlin teaches us. Being the championship regular season winner does hold some value. He would have probably made it last year into the final round had he not decided to run his mouth on a podcast, his own podcast, and get himself a points fine. So, yeah, I think that'll be something that will be interesting to look at as we go into these next 5 races.
Yeah, I'm looking at
it's
the
interesting.
points, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Art.
I was going to say, just to clarify for Peyton's point. Yeah, I'm looking at the points right now. The top 4 are 20 points apart. So Chase is leading. Larson's -3, Reddick -15, Denny -20. So, I mean, they're pretty much under a blanket at that point. So,
yeah, and just to go back to like what you say about the 19, like I feel like Martin Truex is sort of Kyle Larson. If the shop nails the setup and they're fast all weekend, Truex will be in front and just bring it home. But he seldom sells when he has the fastest car. Unlike Larson, if he has a bad stop or if something gets screwy, he gets back in traffic. He typically bends it when he's the fastest car, probably because it's cheated up and he doesn't want NASCAR to see what they did. But it's just when you compare them to Denny and to Christopher, I just feel like with the crew chiefs on the pit boxes with them, they can do those adjustments in the race. They can listen to the drivers and know what the car needs. The driver's like, all right, I got it from here. And they drive back to the front and drive away. So it was bittersweet seeing Denny not win. I was sort of looking forward to the next Mavis scheme that was going to come out, just because after his, I can't say that word, last year with Kyle Larson, I was really hoping for a late race caution and a green white checker setup, and just to see Denny just go Denny at Pocono again. But I think this was his 9th or 10th straight race leading laps at Pocono, which is a skewed stat because, like Peyton said, he used to race there twice a year. But it's still inspiring to see that if there's just a track where Denny can show up and he's like, yeah, I'm winning unless something else happens where I don't. It's my track. Yeah, very interesting to see how the points thing, the regular season championship, plays out. We get a real special race next week. So I'm very, very interested to see how teams race it, how the strategy gets called there, because we haven't been here in a few years on this configuration. But before we talk about next week, let's go to 2311 corner. As the boys mentioned, TR got 6th. Bubba drove up 20 places, finished 10th. Securing a top 10 for both drivers, which hasn't happened, I feel like, in weeks, months even. A much needed, well-rounded performance by the 2311 Toyotas. Lito's Supremacy Weekend, it still happened. I still counted. We got a top 10. We came from the trenches. Team Litos, we up. Shout out Litos. Litos, same difference. But yeah, it's just thank you, Booty. I appreciate you shooting your shot at the end of stage 1, bringing it in early. Thank you, Booty, for bringing the car down pit road and adjusting it. Thank you, Booty, again for continuing to adjust the car and letting Bubba go to work. No, I have to thank this man. I have to thank him. I got to thank him.
This is a classic case of the finish blinds the route that we took to get there.
No, because he had to take 2 tires to get there, and then he had to hold off Chris Buescher, Chris Buescher was going to pass, but I don't know if y'all started paying to that interval. It was nuts. So when it was like 15 ago or something, when Bubba caught Chase in the middle of 2, and Chase had to chase the car up to he got out of the groove, had to chase the car up, and like destroyed Bubba's momentum, and then Chase drove away. I was like, this ain't gonna be good, but Bubba held it down and he held on to 10.
No, the reason I say that is because we are not mentioning that the car was absolute dog food for the first 75% of the race.
I told you he had to adjust it. He had to bring it down and adjust it.
But I'm just saying the car was fast in practice, was good in qualifying. He had a mistake in the tunnel turn. Whatever, that's fine. Yeah, it's whatever. But the car was plowing tight for most of the race, right?
You know what kills me about that? And then I'll let you I'll shut up and let you talk for real. But like in the middle of the broadcast, they're like, yeah, Bubba's got a similar setup to Tyler Reddick, so we expect Bubba to be up front. And I was like, you mother.
Yeah. I mean, it took every single caution And every single trip down pit road and every trick that they pulled when it came to strategy to get there. I'm glad they got there. This was a race where
Paquette, baby. Audemars Paquette.
This race felt like they were gonna be running, 25th and finish 22nd. And they were able to pull something out of it by the skin of their teeth. It felt like I'm happy they got what they did. I think, if Ross doesn't lose it and coming out of 3, the day is a lot more sour, right? Because they're still, let's say 40 points back. But sometimes you gotta have a little luck. And this was outside of a win or some buckets full of stage points. This was about as good as you could hope for. Ross finishing almost as worse as you possibly could, and you getting a top 10. So I'm happy for it, but I'm just gonna say you got a little too much dip on the chip for singing all these praises when it was a struggle bus for a long time.
If he didn't do what he did, he would finish exactly where you just said, 22nd, or he wouldn't have finished the race because of Corey LaJoy. Count your blessings.
All I'm saying is there's more to a race than just the finish. It's how you get there.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying if they didn't do what they did, Bubba wouldn't have finished the race because of Corey LaJoy. You see how many cars he hit? 8.
Dude was a bulldozer out there. But yeah, and then for Tyler too, like great run. I think he's got his eyes on that regular season championship. There was some audio on social. He got out the car, and the first questions he asked was, how close are they to that top spot? So if he can get that, all of these drivers realize, and know how important that is. So for his side, like it was a good solid run. It wasn't great. Denny was better today. But he gained some ground, I think, on the number 1 seed. But I just keep thinking about, the 23 team, and, they had to work really hard today. Like, they really worked hard to get that top 10, and I'm glad they did. And they are now, I believe, minus 27, if I remember correctly. I had the tab and I lost it. Okay,
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, so right now, points wise, the only folks that I'm even considering in contention are the 17 is plus 44. I mean, it would take like a string of DNFs for him to lose that, but plus 44. Chastain plus 27. Bubba minus 27. Next up is Chase Briscoe minus 75. So outside of new winners, which are still very possible, as we've seen, it really right now comes down to Ross and Bubba. And so I tweeted out, after seeing the points that Tyler Reddick Operation Melon Smash is a go. Operation Melon Smash is a go. Please be a heat-seeking missile for the 1 on lap 1 and do what needs to be done. Sacrifice for the greater good. But yeah, it's going to be tight. Like I have to admit I was wrong because I got on here and said I thought there was no way they could point their way in. Like I thought there's no way they could point their way in. And then today happens. Now, to be fair, I do not expect to be able to cut 25 points into the cutoff line again, but they did it once, and you got a shot now. Like you got a shot to point your way in. So I'm happy to be wrong on that front, but it's still work to be done. It's still an uphill climb for sure.
So much to discuss from this. You mentioned, first off, Tyler Reddick being in contention for that regular season championship. I'd be sick as a dog if there's a situation where Tyler Reddick wins the regular season points championship and Bubba doesn't make the play. I'd be sick as a dog. I mean, not that Tyler doesn't deserve it, not that the team doesn't deserve it. They've obviously worked hard. Tyler's a great driver. I like Tyler. It would just be such a bummer, and I would hate the discourse that would arise from that because, it wouldn't be well thought conversation. As far as today's efforts, it was another, we're all in the group chat. It was another 23 experience where it's rarely just top 10 running throughout the day. There's at least some point where everyone is a bit peeved at the other person we're talking to each other and saying, why are they adjusting this? Why are they adjusting that? Overall, the thing that we always feel annoyed by when we're watching these races as, 23 Bubba Wallace fans is Bubba says he needs an adjustment. The car's not handling well, and the adjustments don't seem to work, or adjustments don't seem to be made, and it just sort of He just sort of languishes around, and then you rely on some late race restarts and Bubba to work his magic to sort of make his way up. It seems like Bubba got the help that he needed, or that he got the changes that he was looking for to make that car competitive, or he was able to at least sort of be in the hunt. I think realistically that was I don't know if that was a true top 10 car. Like you were mentioning, Jarrett, he was having to really fend off the 17 towards the end there. And also one of the really annoying things about this track, you watch your driver and they'll be trying to pass another driver. And then in reality, that just opens them up to get destroyed by the cars behind them. So it's one of those things when the TV shows him catching up to Chase, with 15 or so to go, like, oh, he can get back to ninth. And it's like, no. This might actually just end up getting him swallowed up by the 17. So, yeah, it was comforting to watch with 5 laps to go that gap start to incrementally grow out. So I would love for them to be able to go and get it right off the truck. We thought they had it right off the truck because in practice he had speed. In qualifying, just wasn't able to nail the lap, and getting back there in that dirty air. And this is something that, Jared and you and I was sort of, talked a little bit about in the group chat. The car was handling poorly, and yes, the car handling was poorly in traffic for everyone, but you still have to figure it out. The fast cars and the fast drivers still managed to make their way through, because there were restarts where Denny Hamlin was right next to Bubba and managed to make his way through. So you've got to still adjust. And even Bowman mentioned after the race, hey, we adjusted our car to handle well in the pack. Yeah, once we got up front, it was too free, but hey, and that's the way you got. And if you're going to be back in the pack, you just got to make those big, wild swings at it. And because if you're going to be in the pack, have the car run well in the pack. Because unless it's a weird circumstance where you sort of pull something out of your keister to steal something from the Midwest and manage to find your way up front, you've got to deal with the situation you've got. Now, we look at the points table, and I think that's going to be the interesting question. I was talking to Bonte. He was getting into it with someone on another social media platform in terms of how does Bubba make the playoffs, and the person he was sort of going at was saying Bubba really still needs a win because it's not been consistent enough this year compared to the one car. There's about a 2 position delta between where the one car has finished on average this season and where the 23 finishes on average this season. So not necessarily a huge gap, but still, I still think on average in this sport, you regress to the mean or median or whatever. You regress to your average. And so I would expect that the one would run faster. So in order to feel comfortable, yes, the 23 really does still kind of needs to win. That being said, pointing is the way it's going to happen, because there are a lot more weekends where the 23 can bring a top 10 and occasionally a top 5 car versus the number of weekends they seem to be capable of rolling up with race winning speed. I may be a bit pessimistic, and I'll allow you guys to correct me, but I would say on average in a season, there's about 2 to 3 races on a non-drafting track where you feel like, oh yeah, Bubba absolutely can win. And you feel that way throughout all 3 stages of the race. So as much as I would like to go and say, yeah, let's just go out and win one, I think it's going to take really, really good point stays, and it's going to take stage points. And that's just tough for this team, is being able to they seem to be able to occasionally get stage points and then not back it up with a great finish, or they can avoid stage points and then somehow sort of get a top 10. They're not seeming to be capable of getting it all together in one race. And like you were mentioning, Jarrett, I don't expect the one car to have another big DNF. That said, he could transform back into 2023. Rick Hendrick has to pull you aside. Ross Chastain that we all know and love, he could become the weapon that we all the implement that we all know he can be in order to bring this thing tight. And you know that going into Indianapolis that everyone's going to be hyping that up, that 27-point gap. If it gets less than 10 points with 3 races to go, I'm going to be the most annoying person out there because I'm like, oh, it's happening. I want split screens of Ross Chastain. I want live tracking. I need them to sell that to me. I need that in my veins. I don't care if they're duking it out for 22nd and 21st. I just want a 10-point gap with 3 races to go. So that's where we are. Sign of improvement. Not sleeping well at night still, but yeah. Anytime you get a top 10, it doesn't matter what happened, how you got there, it's still a top 10. That feels good.
Question. Was Bubba was 23:11 the last time they ran the oval at Indy? Or was that RPM?
No,
RPM.
He was in the 43.
RPM. Bubba finished third.
That was what, 2019?
2020.
He finished third in an underperforming 43 car at Indianapolis. He's driving a Toyota this time. I'm telling you, like, I only had Michigan circled for Bubba, but I'm kind of feeling like Art. I don't know. He might surprise us at Indy. And then he would have had Richmond would have been in the bag had they not had that slow stop for the green white checker at Richmond in March. But I look at the schedule, like after his run today, Indy, Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, Darlington, he can do it. Because his competition is a hothead.
I was gonna say, I think the big factor comes down to is, will the one make mistakes, right? And like,
yes,
if we were going to, like, let's say you were going head to head with like a Truex, I would be much less optimistic because Truex is not a guy who typically makes these kind of backbreaking mistakes, right? Like he more off, if he DNFs because like he got wrecked by someone else, right? Like I can't remember the last time I've seen like Truex just lose it on a car.
Right.
But with Ross, there is still occasional moments like this where, you know, you can say it's lights too bright, or you could say it's too much pressure that he puts on himself and he just pushes the car too hard. I think, you know, one of the challenges for us pre the HMS sit down was that he just is always going 100 miles an hour, and sometimes 85 miles an hour is plenty, right? Like he's always pushing it every single lap. And if he starts to feel that pressure, then yeah, that's possible. I'm just saying this was probably your third out of, you know, dozens and dozens of scenarios. This was your third best outcome, which is really good. And like get you at least in the ballpark. Out of the people around him in the playoff bubble, if I had to pick someone, it would be Ross. Now, that's not saying I'm expecting him to suddenly lose it and spin out. And like that crew is solid, so I'm not expecting like pit road mistakes. But out of like Truex, Buescher, Ross, who is the most likely to be, you know, feast or famine? It would be Ross of those three. Like the other two are pretty steady Eddie and will give you, you know, 12th place finishes are plenty to get by unless Bubba goes on like a crazy hot streak. So is it possible? Sure. Yes. Now you mentioned the Indy race. I went back to go find it. I'm just looking at the running order. Out of 40 cars, it looks like only 23 finished on the lead lap. So there were a lot of calamities. And looking at some of the people around him, it was Harvick, Logano, Bubba, Byron, Clint Boyer, Denny, Blaney, Newman, Elliott, Menard, the top 10. I'm just saying I hope so too, but I can't put too much stock into one really great performance. And it was a great performance. And yes, it was in an underperforming car. And I don't remember this race. I don't think I watched this race live, so I don't know the situation that got him into that position to finish third. But you got a chance, you got a shot. I like his chances on the oval better than the road course.
Mm-hmm.
And even with his improvements on the road course, I still would like your chance. I think the oval configuration just gives him a better shot. So yeah, it's possible. I mean, you look at the schedule left, it's what? Indy, Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm them, I'm saying, hey, look, we've made it through the street course, we made it through Sonoma. You know, this is it. This is a good lineup of what, 6 races, 5 races?
Right. But this is like all of these tracks, I feel like suit his driving style. Like it's game time.
I mean, outside of like, I was gonna say outside of like a Martinsville where he's run well at and he's won at, these are all tracks that can be very good to him. Now, will they?
He's won at Michigan in the Truck Series.
True. I mean, like I said, is it possible? Yes. Am I putting money on it? No.
I will.
That's just where I'm at.
And then another thing where I feel like I just have extra confidence coming out of this race weekend. They interviewed Tyler about his performance at the street course and, how it felt for him to finish, second and not winning. And he was quoted saying that, he does what he can to help Bubba maintain his deficit to the cut line. And you think about the trackhouse situation, oftentimes Ross outperforms Daniel. So Daniel kind of can't help if Daniel's behind him already.
He can hold up the leader.
I was gonna say, unless he's going to go a lap down.
Lucky dog. You've seen it a lot of times at Richmond. Trust me, that 99, that car is as wide as it can be. That thing fights so hard not to go a lap down.
Yes, it's interesting for sure. But I'm definitely. You see that it's that meme of like the kid sitting in the computer chair and he's down like 15 points in 2K and then the fourth quarter starts and he locks in. I said it last week. I think 2311 has realized that Bubba meant that they're gonna win a race this year and he gonna get his, and y'all just come along for the ride. So I think it's people are starting to pay attention on the 23 half of airspeed. So hopefully we manifest this for them. But I'm locked into this to see how they adapt and overcome. If push comes to shove after Indy and you didn't get the result that you wanted, you got 2 weeks to cheat at Richmond. So you got 2 weeks.
Guess we cheating.
Another shout out to the pit crew.
Yeah, shout out to the 23 pit crew, for sure, because they've been on it. No flounders, no falters. That the way that they had the camera set up at pit exit this week when he took 2 to gain all the spots that he gained, I swore he was in the top 10. I was like, oh, there's the purple car. Like, oh, he got behind Brett, but they've been on it. So hopefully they, to Peyton's point, they maintain and continue that greatness, because it's going to definitely be needed. If you get a green flag long run at Indy, you got to make a green flag stop. You got to have the money stops.
And I think track position is going to be super, super interesting or super critical at Indianapolis, keeping it, retaining it, because that is a 1 or a 1.5 groove track, even for IndyCar. Well, IndyCars typically have to run a bit more narrow grooves anyway. So, yeah, if people thought it was tough to pass at Pocono, it will be interesting to see how these cars handle at Indy. But yeah, that was a great point, Jared. There's not a track that you have to be concerned about in terms of Bubba's skill set. These are like we all just sort of mentioned. These are weekends where you say, "Hey, this could be one of the 2 or 3 weekends he's got that top 5 car. No reason not to." I do agree. The form book in terms of the Brickyard, you can't really translate that too well. That past performance doesn't necessarily translate, but at least we've seen, at least he knows how to run it well. Might not know how to run it well in this car with this team. So, like I said, the points gap, in theory, since we, like I said, we just watch it come down by a significant margin. That's it. I think it would be by far the largest points comeback we've seen. So I don't know if there's a lot of precedent for this, but hey.
Last year was, and then he would just be beating himself to get in this year by points.
Yeah. So he'd be setting another sort of record on that. So I'm all here for it. It could happen. That's why I'm going to tune in every week.
And now we go into everybody's favorite part of the show. It's time for Lights Too Bright. Now, Art, I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna lean you into yours. I'm gonna go last. I'm gonna lean you in. And I quote, I'm not gonna name this driver's name. I'm just gonna throw some stats out. In his career, has only 12 top 10s across all 3 National Series divisions, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, all came within the Cup Series, all of them at drafting tracks. In his career, 284 starts.
Oh man! All right. Yeah. This is I mean, it's Corey LaJoy. Like, let's get out the way. Lights Too Bright, Corey LaJoy. Let's get that out the way. Yeah. Before we started, we were looking at. Well, I was looking at Corey's Wikipedia, and I've said on here before. My discourse or like the things I say about Corey are not personal. Like, I don't know this man. I've never met this man. It's only to do with the fact that I don't think he's good enough at his profession to be doing it at the level he's at. However, it does become personal when you sit there and continue to not have accountability and you make quotes such as, he hooked himself. I'm not going to say sorry. I dumped his ass. These are 3 direct quotes from Corey after the race. So he had time to cool off, because apparently that's a big thing this week is, drivers having time between incidents, to gather themselves and all of that, based off Chicago, whatever. But this man will just go hook someone going to turn 1 at Pocono, one of the worst places possible. I'm trying to think now, maybe turn 1 Indy. What are there any other, maybe turn 1 Watkins Glen? I'm thinking of where are places worse to hook someone than turn 1 at Pocono? It can't be a very long list. If you can think of some and you're listening, tweet them please to us at the podcast at VL Vibes Podcast on Twitter X. I would love to hear some suggestions for what is a worse place to do it than there. It is a miracle only like 6 cars got destroyed. I mean, that could have brought the whole field to a parking lot. And this attitude of, I don't make any mistakes and I'm not sorry for them, it's just really unbecoming of me. It's not hard to say I messed up. It's 3 words. It's really not that hard. And it would go so far for me if you just have some accountability for yourself. But you can't. It's Corey LaJoy. And I'm sorry, like, for like the Chase Elliott's and the Ryan Blaney's and, all these other drivers who have been, called Nepo babies in the past, y'all all off the hook, boy. Like, I'll never badmouth y'all. Like, there was some dude during the broadcast, I don't remember what team he was on, but he was like the gas man for one of the teams. And they were like, yeah, he found a way into the sport. And then they were like, yeah, his dad works at Penske. And I was like, well, that's how he got in the sport. But like, even you got random pit crew guy, I'll never say something bad about you, because the fact that this man continues to do absolutely nothing but ruin other people's days and won't ever take accountability for it, it's what just drives me insane. It drives me absolutely insane. It's just so easy to be like, hey, I'm out here, I'm doing my best, I'm trying. Like, I can see some appeal in that. Like, some people like underdogs, but like, you can just ride around in the back and be slow and not ruin everyone else's day. Or if you make a mistake, apologize for it. And you go so much further. But this attitude of, I mean, he acts like he's Richard Petty out here. He acts like, or he's Dale Sr. and acts like he has the right to just run over anybody. I'm like, who are you? I just said before we started, the last win this guy has in the Obama administration, it was 11 years ago, in like a modified. I just don't understand. Like, you should be coming to the track every weekend, hat in hand, grateful, showing gratitude that you are allowed to be here. If there's anything closer to a charity case in the Cup Series, I don't know what is than this guy, because it damn sure ain't on merit. And I feel like Chili's can't love him that much. It can't be that personal. Like, what's the other sponsor he has? The one he had this week? Gainsbridge, I think. They can't love you that much. So, like, I refuse to believe that they're coming for Corey. So I just think, the attitude that you just have combined with the actions gives you, as always, every week, the Lights Too Bright Award. I just hate it. I hope, I don't hope for anyone to ever get injured in a race car, but I hope he gets
Oh, how could you say that?
Dumped so hard. Like, I hope he just gets turned back in first into the wall. And I hope it's Kyle Busch, and I hope he's the only one involved. And I hope he sits there in 36th place or whatever last is now, 36th, 37th place. Because, like, you just need to take a week off. If you really want to do something NASCAR, since we talk about suspensions, this is your time. Pick up the phone. What's Spire's phone number? Pick up the phone and call them and tell them your boy's got to sit for a week. Because there's no way you can tell me that you can hook someone. Here we 704-662-0000. Spire Motorsports. They will be at the shop. They will be at the shop at 8 a.m. Monday, 8 to 4. So you can get them early. I'm not going to read out these people's names. I was about to read out the media public relations gentleman's name. I'm not going to put his name out there, but I'm just letting you know. There you go. It's real easy to hit them up. They'll be there nice and early, and just tell the old boy you got to sit for a week, because you can't hook a guy and crash out the wreck and be like, I dumped his ass. Because Denny, according to Denny's situation, he talked about it. What happened? Now, listen. You got to sit him, because one, Corey ain't got no damn points to take away and to begin with. Like, a point is nothing. That's like taking sand from the beach. Like, you're really not doing nothing. Like, it does not matter. So I need this man to sit for a week. If I have to hear bigots on Twitter complain about Bubba getting suspended for dooring a guy on a cool down lap, you got to say old boy for hooking him at what, 180, 170, whatever. What are we doing? Last thing, and then I'll shut up. You sat there and said he blocked me twice. Like, I have eyeballs. NBC got some real good cameras. That's all I'm gonna say. They real sharp. They real crispy. They can show me when something's going.
How crispy they are.
They can show me when something's going straight, and they can show me when a car turns to the right, which is crazy. That's crazy, right? Like, I tell you, Corey acts like we live in the era of radio where, like, no one saw his actions, and like he thought he could just say whatever and get away with it. But yeah, man, go ahead. 704-662-0000. That's, hit him up. Get him out of here. Raj, you better get the call up, big boy. I've been waiting for this. Get my man a new suit with that nice Cup Series patch on the chest. Let's get him out there. That's what I want. That's all I want. So that's all I got.
It's funny because, like, Art had smoke for me last week when I said I wanted to mail the Lights Too Bright trophy to the race shop.
Brad, let me tell you,
around and gives the phone number.
Listen, this is a Champ Bailey level backpedal. You hear me? Like, I was wrong. Look here,
you were.
I got some stamps 4 feet away.
Thank you for your
me.
accountability. I appreciate that.
I will put these stamps in the mail tonight, and I'll send them to you. Say I won't. I'll put them in an envelope right now, and I'll give you the postage. I promise. I'm just so sick of this. I'm just so sick of this attitude. Again, if you were, I don't know, a Suarez level guy, a Chastain level guy, it's won a couple things, been in contention a couple times, whatever. I probably wouldn't hate it as much. But when you are probably talent-wise the worst full-timer in the field, and you're up here talking like you're the big dog on the block, what do you expect, man? Like, what do you expect? What do you want me to say? Like, so yes, Corey gets it. He gets the lights. He gets it every week. He's the scheduled caution. I'm just sick of this man. I need 4 all-black SUVs to pull up Aspire Motorsports with the NASCAR logos on the doors, and they need to hand him suspension paperwork. That's I'm calling for it now. They said that media and social media outrage was a factor in Bubba's thing. Damn it, I'm starting the outrage right here. Like, they got to do something. This man's a menace, and he needs to be stopped. To quote J. Jonah Jameson, this man's a menace. And I'm sick of him ruining my Sundays. That's all I got. Corey, you get it. Then now forever, Corey LaJoy. Lights too bright.
Peyton.
Oh, yeah, hand it to me after that. Jeez. I mean, yeah. I mean, everything Art said, he said it eloquently. He said it well. He said it with passion. He's not very good at his job, and just doesn't, like you said, no accountability. Be one of those things if he goes, oh, shucks, guys, didn't mean to do that, and, just got in there a little bit too hot, and nope. Like you're saying, he slid off my nose. So, anywho, I won't be able to put the same level of energy into it, but there are 2 entities that I think the lights shun. They were too bright for them, or maybe potentially for one of these entities, the dollar sign was too big. I'm going to go and say every single Cup team that has a charter that didn't manage to get Rodney Childers. How are you going to allow probably the hottest free agent crew chief prospect to come available in, I don't know, the last 5 years, the last 10 years, come available and end up with the man who just garnered a DDoS attack, or excuse me, essentially, had his team's phone number put out by Art here, end up at Spire for Corey LaJoy. So you've got that, but also you look at, you have Austin Dillon talking about RCR saying, oh, we got big things going and everyone's bought in. We're going to right the ship next year. We got big things going. They dumped Andy Petrie. That's a big thing, apparently. And they've got money. They don't go out and get Rodney Childers. Denny, you got the money. I mean, show the money. I don't know what sort of prospect. Maybe they said, hey, you can own Gamebridge. Whatever they did, these other teams, really, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't see how you can whiff that bad to that team, because I know those other teams have pockets that deep. I can understand HMS. Okay, you're pretty well suited. All of your drivers have wins. Not even a Penske, because you've got more performance you can probably get out of the 2, and you're going to let that go to the 7. I don't know how serious they are about winning. You know what? I just don't. Cincinnati Bengal type behavior, just cheap for no reason. Cincinnati Red behavior, just cheap for no reason. So lights too bright to the other team. And then the other lights too bright are the folks who run the traffic engineering for Pocono. Congratulations, Pocono. First sellout since the race was broadcast in HD. Great job. You've gone to 1 race. You don't have 2 races anymore. It's not 500 miles, it's 400 miles because people can't stand to be around you any longer, and you sell out. Fantastic. It's one of Martin Truex's 6 home races this season. You put his name on there, his whole family contingent comes out, and you have people still trying to get in the racetrack all the way into the 3rd stage, and everyone's like, oh, you got to leave early. The track's been doing this for 190 years. You think they know how to get people in? It's not as though it's a Kentucky situation in 2011 where it's in Kentucky. They've never done this before, or Nashville in 2021, which I was personally stuck in, even leaving through S4. They've never done it before. They've been doing this since Richard Petty. How can you mess that up so bad? I don't know. Let people know, hey, big crowd today. No, they sit there and actually congratulate themselves. Sold out. Fantastic job. And then proceed to probably miss 10% of the people still stuck in traffic. And then these media personnel sit there and laugh at them. Really? You're going to get in your high horse? You're going to sit there and mock people who clearly said, hey, I gave myself a 3-hour buffer. Oh, you got to get there earlier. And do what? Go out there and bake in the damn sun? No. Come on. Like, it's Pocono. Open up both lanes. What do you think people are going to – there's a lot of people trying to get out of Pocono at 9 a.m.? Oh, they're the big Sunday rush to get out of – no. There's only one reason you're going in that direction. Close it off. Like, lights too bright. What the hell are you doing? And then you have the audacity to announce a sellout, and you manage it the worst ever.
I mean, technically, they sold every ticket.
Oh, they sold it.
They didn't say every seat was filled.
No.
Yeah, I hate the like the media folks who this week I will let them remain nameless, but there are certain media folks out there, and I was chirping about them on Twitter, that are just like, yeah, if you don't leave 36 hours ahead of time, what did you expect? It's like, bruh, like, it's a race. Like, now, if the race is at 2:30 and you leave at 1:30, sure. But like, it's like people were saying they hadn't moved 2 miles in 3 hours. Like, no, this is clearly not the people's fault. Like, at that point, they would have been better served one person just taking the L and taking the car home and just walking it in. Like, you could walk a mile in like 30 minutes and they would have gotten in further than they would have driving. Like, and you shouldn't have to do that. But like, yeah, blaming the people because clearly something went wrong with the traffic, though, is such a bad look. And I just don't understand why some of these people just like make it a habit of shit talking the people that literally make your job exist. Like, they literally make your job exist. Because if no one reads your content, you don't have a job if you're a reporter. So like, these are the people that read your content. And I just think that's such a bad look. And I hate it so much. But yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, that was messed up. My light's too bright. Truly, I mean, honestly, I have to give it to, my favorite Xfinity driver. I still got to give it to Sam Mayer. He still has to get it. He had arc brakes. Where you going? What you doing? You ain't see that big white WeatherTech bumper in front of you, bro, with the big yellow rookie stickers? No, come on, son. Come on, son. You seen that. You saw it. You know what you did. Sam Mayer, do better. For art's sake. Do better.
I just hate when my boys fight. They hate it. I feel like this isn't the first time. I mean, they haven't wrecked, but I feel like they had like some rubbing at some point.
I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like they get into it a little bit.
I said this off air, but I'll say it again. Any other week, I would be right there with you, as that was egregious. Terrible. Drove in from a quarter mile back. But the only saving grace for Sam, for me, is that he only took out one car.
Talk about it.
He only took out one car. 7 took out what, 6, 7?
6, 7 cars.
And let's be honest, it's a miracle it wasn't more. Like, it literally is a miracle it wasn't like
by the grace of God.
Because
you mentioned like worse corners. I still remember Bubba losing his brakes. Remember when Bubba lost his brakes going into one? And he he went low instead of like riding the wall, and I thought he was not going to get out of the car because he hit so hard. Because he caught a bad angle when he hit that wall in one. You can't do that. Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Like outside of like, yes, there's no good place to hook someone on like a super speedway, and I would agree with that. But in terms of non-super speedway tracks, I struggle to think of a worse place to hook someone than going into one at Pocono, because it's so fast and it's such a sharp angle, and it gets so narrow. It was on a restart, and they were like 5 or 6 wide, and like it's one of the worst places you could do it. Like, is left hooking more acceptable than right hooking? I'm just asking for myself. I'd love for NASCAR to tell me, like, if there's some delineation between the two, because there's clearly delineation between when you hit someone after the race. If they're wiping their eyes, and if the window net is down, and if they're sipping on Gatorade, and if they cut their toenails, like all these other factors go into account when you apply those situations. So I just want to know if right hooking versus left hooking, and if someone out there listening, again, I'll plug the show on Twitter, VL Vibes Podcast. If you know the difference, please let me know. I legit just want to know what the difference is, because I said on the Twitter, if Bubba did that, they'd be calling for his head. They'd say, you got to go home for a month, at least a race. So that's why I'm so bullish about this. Like, Corey got to go for a week. Corey got to go for a week. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to see someone be suspended for like a month. Like, I'm not that crazy, but like, you got to take it to the house, my friend, for at least 1 week. Go chill on the couch like the rest of us and get comfy there. Get familiar with it, because you're going to be there soon. I just want Raj in that car. And you were saying about getting Rodney up there and about serious about winning. I told you off air, Rodney and Raj, it's gonna be a new buddy comedy. It's coming. Rodney and Raj is coming. It's gonna be great.
Rodney Carruth.
Listen,
sponsored and backed by Rock Nation.
Listen, all that talk about Rodney Childress possibly staying with Josh Berry, and then end up doesn't happen. And he talked at length about how like working with Josh Berry was really like reinvigorating to him, and he had considered just like walking away, right? I don't believe for one damn second that the Corey LaJoie sell. No, I mean, yes, I'm sure he got a bag, but I don't believe for 1 second the Corey LaJoie sell is what got him to stay active, because he was talking about maybe just retiring. But I think the bag and another young, talented driver in a year
in the race shop, in the same shop,
would be appealing. A certain young African American from the greater Washington, D.C. area who already has a win in the top 3 series, which is crazy because Corey hasn't done
the same equipment.
You realize the last time Corey won, Raj was probably in elementary school. He might have not even been in elementary school, bro. He might have been legit, like,
he might have been in Pampers Big
5 years old, 10 years old, maybe. So that would be a lot more appealing. Plus a bag. Bag never hurts. But he was talking like he was going to retire. So
he got a bag with the option of some front office management. He get to be behind the desk, a la Chad Knaus, a la Jeff Gordon. I feel like they offered that, like, hey, I'm gonna pay you. We got Game Bridge money. We got this oil money. I'm paying you. However, I know you want the long run and insurance policy. I got you. Here's some ownership stake while we at it. Stay a while. Open mic. Shout out to us getting the 800 followers on Twitter. If you were part of that experience, congratulations, appreciate it. Now the countdown is on to 900 for the redacted giveaway. You'll find out soon when we get closer, but you can't know yet. Just know that for 900, we cooked. For 1,000, you better invite us to your wedding. And then we'll have to spread the gifts out a little bit. Just thank y'all for being here, enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. We're here on Sunday, which means that our listens will be way higher because we'll be the first ones out. I love when the first one's out. We beat everybody out. I love it. Oh, I love that shirt. Oh, it makes me so happy.
You know what that reminds me of? There's some story. It was something on, and I'm a jump topics, but that when you say that reminds me of, there's some video where it was on YouTube of Ray Everham and Chad Knaus, and they were talking about like the Rainbow Warrior days, and they talked about how competitive they were. And he said they used to practice unloading out the hauler. They wanted to be the first on pit road. They want to be the first to unload out the hauler. They want to be the first down pit road for practice. They want to be tearing down out of on the practice laps before people were even done yet. They just like, they're so competitive. They want to be first at everything. And I think that's how we kind of are a little bit. Like, we want to be first online. Denny's rolling out of bed in his mansion, and like, we're hitting the play button.
We hit play on ours, baby. You already got notification on your phone. Victory Lane Vibes, we live, baby.
But yeah, real quick, I was just gonna say, yeah, we appreciate everyone. The 800th winner has been contacted. He's been confirmed. So if you have not heard from us yet, sorry, you did not win. We're trying to get him on, hopefully for next week, if the timing works out. But we will have him on an episode. And yeah, we're on the march to 9. I got some stuff planned as we sit. It's 8:12. So as always, very excited to give that away. I'm sitting here looking at the thing for 1,000. It's nice. I'm very happy. I'm excited to give it away. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm again very thankful. But first, we gotta get to 9 before we get to 1,000. And yeah, that one is boxed up, ready to go. So if you like, can we get the hint? And also, sidebar.
I feel like for 900, you can kind of drop a hint. Or you can drop a hint.
What I was gonna say is, you started being very coy about like what the things are, but I'm pretty sure I've said what they were on air before.
I don't think you have.
I think
what's 900? Did you say 900? You didn't say 1,000. You said 900.
I'm pretty sure I said what 900 was on air. So now every time you're like, you gotta wait to find out, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure I said it.
Did you? I mean, you can say it now because that's the next
I'm
target.
going to, yeah.
What's
yeah.
900?
So for 900, we're doing Black Excellent box. This makes me really feel like one of those subscription boxes, where it's like every month you get something. That's how this feels.
If we grew every
but you only get
100 followers, that would be fantastic.
But yeah, so for the Black Excellent box, it is Raj. It is our friend from the NHRA world, Antron Brown, and the 8-time Formula One champion, Sir Lewis Hamilton, will be featured in this box. So we will have fun items from all 3 of those very talented gentlemen. That one has been really fun to collect for. So I'm very excited to get it out to people. So yeah, stay tuned. When we get closer to it, I'll put up some pictures and stuff, like preview it on the Twitter. But yeah, that's what that one's for. So very excited for that one. All of those are great, current, past, hopefully future champions. So I had to do something right for number 1 Black led podcast, unofficial Black Command Center, as the Twitter bio says.
Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe us everywhere. Follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music. There's no more Google Podcasts. We're on YouTube now. I guess one of these days we'll do another video piece.
Ooh, we should do we're getting in the weeds now. We're doing admin work while on air. But for the Olympic break episode, we should do that one on video.
Yeah, we should do that on YouTube. We should stream that one.
That would be fun.
And we also,
if anyone unfollows Art, by the way, you should put their phone number and office hours out in the segment. So if you're already following, you need to stay following, or Art will put your number up on the next episode.
Listen, all you have to do is not wreck 6 NASCAR stock cars in one go, and you're free from that weapon. So it's a very low bar that you have to clear. It is a smidge above the ground. The light barely clips under that bar, and Corey just tripped and face planted over it. So like he didn't make the cut. But everybody else, like, you're fine. I'm fine with that. Hey, it's public knowledge, man. Anyone can get it. I didn't have to go digging too hard for it.
It's a quick Google search. We also have to give our new employee Peyton his VLV uniform because he's now indoctrinated. He's one of us. He's about to get the logins. I'm about to take him from somebody.
Hold up now. That's a little, again, too much dip on the chip. In fact, We got to take logins back.
That's what I'm saying. We got to take it back. We got to take it back.
Some of our colleagues got a little wild on Twitter over the weekend.
I know exactly what you're referring to now.
And
had us looking like FDNY racing out here in these streets. I was like, whoa, brother, hold on.
If you don't know, you're better off not knowing. We're not gonna comment on it, but it was due to worldly events. We'll just leave it at that and move along smartly. I will say this is a very unnatural transition. I'm gonna do it anyway because Carl's not here. He's not gonna do the ad read, and I don't have a very natural one. I know we're bouncing topics, but my fiance was looking at home field. This is pause. This is an honest to God true story. This is not a script that I wrote for the show. I'm gonna put that out there right now. Hand to God, this is an honest true story.
Oh Lord.
We were doing laundry, and our girlfriend picks up the home field shirts, and she goes, "Man, these are really soft. These are really nice. I kind of want some." So she gets on there, starts looking at them, and she's, she likes HMS. She likes Chase Elliott, but she doesn't really like, the older guys like Tim Richmond, Jeff Gordon, whatever. So she starts going through and she's looking at like the Duke stuff, and she's like, I like these, but I'm not really sure yet what I want to get. She discovers that and I didn't realize this, home field has a whole series of shirts that don't have teams on them. So if you just want a really comfortable white t-shirt or a plain black t-shirt, that's the most comfortable t-shirt you will ever own, you can get it. It's the same materials, all of that stuff. And she was like, well, I want something right now that from home field, because she likes how the shirts feel. And like, she's seen me wash them a bunch and like, they're still super soft. But she didn't want something that had a team on it. So now we're ordering. We've got like 3 or 4 shirts in our cart right now that she loves that are just plain shirts. And so we tested the code just to see if it worked. The code still works. So if you want to use that VLV24 code for 15% off, you can get it. But if you're like, oh, I really want to try this because they keep talking about how good these shirts are, but I don't have a team, or I'm not sure if I want it. Like, some people might listen to us and they're like, man, I want to support y'all, but I don't really rock with HMS like that. Fair. But if you want the best t-shirt you'll ever wear, you can get it from home field, and it can just be a shirt. It doesn't have to be a team shirt. So we didn't realize that they had those. And so we will be buying several of them with our own money using the code. So
if socks too, though, and them socks different. Them whole field socks different. They are different. I got a pair of socks. Oh, you gotta try those socks.
All right, but yeah, I just want to throw that out there. So, because like I said, some people may not like HMS, which is fine, it's whatever. But if you just want to try really, really great shirts, that's a way you can try it and support the show. So just want to throw that out there. It's a true story, not made up. Carl is not really a what is it? A stalker for a grocery store in your mind, but that is a true story, what I just told. So I had to get that in because I know he's going to try to come up with some.
He been missing. I might have to put APB on him. Who knows? He might be a stalker in those sweatshirts.
Anyway, that's all I got though for open mic. Peyton, you got anything?
No, happy to be here. I've got shirts sound nice. I should go buy myself some.
You should use VLV24 for 15% off your order. Shirts, socks, hats, the whole 9 yards. It's all comfortable. Shout out Home Field. They really make really good stuff. Oh, you know what they got, Peyton, that you'll love?
What do they have?
Ball stuff.
Bud, I'm going to need it. It's going to be a big year. I'm actually, it's going to be a big year. Plus the college football game's back. I don't have a system that can play it, but everyone is losing their damn minds over it. I expect
you're not going to see me for a little bit. Like, I'll only be here for recording. I have to bring, I've decided that I'm going to have 2 files. We're going completely off the rails, but it's totally fine. We have some gamers that follow us. My main dynasty run is going to be Ohio State. We're running the table forever and ever. And then I'm going to create my alma mater, VCU. VCU is going to the promised land. We're going to, I'm going to start out slow. I'm firing all my children who don't have a 2.5 GPA average There will be no Hellcats given to my players unless you have academic excellence. You are a student athlete. C's get degrees, but not with me. VCU go Rams go.
All right, we gotta. You gotta die.
All right, y'all.
All right.
And with that, that's the show. Thank you for listening to Victory Lane Vibes. Like, comment, subscribe to your friends, to your mammy, to your Grammy. And we will see y'all post Indianapolis. Oh man, home field's in Indianapolis. This is perfect. Shout out home.
Look
field.
at the synergy. See y'all.
Bye bye. Can we play not like us again?
I'm not editing, so it's not up to me.
Oh, man, Carl playing not like us. Muscle, baby. Oh.